Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now, with prices of DDR4 and DDR5 through the roof, some are wondering if they can turn to a DDR3 system, perhaps build something a little older and still have a decent gaming experience. Now, we did this a while ago with a 4790K gaming PC, and in today's one, well, I've paired it with a GTX 980, a GPU from the same year, and we're going to see if you can still have a decent time with a system like this. We're going to be playing a few different games in separate videos, and we're starting today with the newly released Residetn Evil Requiem. So aside from the 4790K and GTX 980, we have 16 gigs of 1866 MHz DDR3. So it's always a good start when the game actually fires up. I don't think the minimum specs for this one are pretty intensive at all. I think you're looking at like an i5 8500 and Ryzen 3500, as well as a GTX 1660 or RX 5500 XT 8GB. We are of course using a 4GB 960 and a 4-core 8-thread 4790K, which has been overclocked to 4.5 GHz. Now when the game starts, it's going to ask you what you want to do with the graphics settings, which you can of course adjust straight after. It's not going to thrust you straight into the story mode and then have you coming back to adjust the settings later. You can actually choose between prioritize performance or prioritize quality to start with, and after that I just jump back into the main menu to adjust things. Now the game actually pretty much got it right, I think. I chose prioritize performance. The game took a couple of seconds to analyse my system, thought, yeah, this is pretty ancient, and then decided to turn everything all the way down to its respective lowest, as we can see here. Now we have a few little options we can choose from, basically just the graphics quality preset, the upscaling quality and the lighting, but if we click on advanced, we can see the other options, which do include FSR 1 and FSR 3.1.5. Now I turned this off to start with and actually just went for standard. Well, no, actually let's leave things off. We have TAA, FXAA plus TAA, and we also have off, but we'll leave it off just to get a sort of idea of how the game runs at its bare minimum, just as a nice starting point for context. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I do not get along with scary games, but here we go. I'm not sure what's going to be scarier, the game or the performance, or at least I didn't going into it, but what I will say is that we are running with at least 30 frames per second, which is a good start. Now, I'm assuming that these outdoor areas are going to be a lot more intensive than those indoor scenes, so you can probably adjust your graphical settings based on what's going on screen, but you probably don't want to be doing that, playing and then continuously adjusting your settings, so you might just want to set them what you think is best for those outdoor more intensive scenes and then leave them like that. But without anti-aliasing, the game looks not too great. There are a lot of jagged edges, so we'll just enable TAA to start with here, which, yeah, pretty much smooths out all the edges but does give the game a softer image. And as you can see, we're still getting at least 40 frames per second here with TAA enabled. Alright, so let's investigate the crime scene here. Now, this opening sequence is basically what I've seen in a lot of video showcases of graphics. There's a little scene coming up in a minute that, thanks to the overcast weather, can look quite photorealistic. Those overcast skies really do help with that. Let's make our way down here. Why am I even here? Yes, I ask myself the same question, just looking to get absolutely terrified, it would seem. Of course, we are here for the reason of testing performance, and so far so good. Yeah, here's that shot I've seen. It actually still looks pretty good on the 4790K and 980 combo, with of course the lowest settings, so pretty happy with it so far. Of course there will be some significant performance differences, as you saw by the roadside there, the frame rate was dropping quite significantly, yet here when we get into those quieter areas with less going on, the FPS figure will pick up. And the thing with Resident Evil is that you're going to be playing a lot of the game in the sort of narrow corridor, smaller environment settings, where performance shouldn't be too bad. I mean, if it's running well now, then it should be running well a lot of the time. It's never a good sign when we have to turn the flashlight on, is it? Here we go. Right, please don't jump out at me when I'm commentating over the gameplay. I hate that door opening system as well, where you really have to do all the work. Just you lean into it and something's the other side ready to make you jump. So let's have a little bit of an investigation here. What's under this little pan? Oh, can we pick that? Oh, Oh, dinner is served. Bon appetit. Right, we'll come back to that in a minute. Looks delicious. Got a little bit of a stew going. I think it's a bit overcooked, actually. What's in here? Oh, looks like the main course. Lovely. Right, we'll come back for that a little later on. Delicious. So we've got soup to start with over there, which is a little bit overcooked. I think it's pretty much part of the pan now. And then we've got nice 28-day, 28-year mature meat in the fridge. Oh no, don't look through there. Something's going to... That is a staple of horror games, isn't it? A little glass hole in the door. You look through it and something is staring back at you. I do love the build-up, though. Like when you're first starting the game, everything's being put in place. And the sort of atmosphere is like no other with these Resident Evil games. I absolutely love it. I think the last one I played was Resident Evil 7, properly anyway. And there's that same sort of initial build-up where you're first approaching the house. You see a figure just walk past you. A few things are happening on screen. And yeah, that sort of build-up to the action is really fantastic in my opinion. Oh, we're in the bathroom now. That's going to be very handy after that meal that we're going to consume later. Oh, we can even lift up the seat. Looks like someone ate some of that soup already. Right, let's vacate the bathroom here. Oh no. Things just rolling into the scene. That is terrifying. Right, let's go. Let's get out of here. Alright, so let's jump back into the settings now and enable FSR. Let's try FSR. I'm going to avoid FSR 1 because it doesn't really hold up now. It was nice when it first came out, but you can really tell that you have it on. Like, it creates such a soft image, FSR 1. I'm glad it is here, though, for those with even lower end hardware than this. It's going to really help, I think, boost performance, but the 980 should be capable of utilising FSR 3. We'll set it to native AA first of all, which will look sharper than the TAA and FXAA options, but that's not really any good for performance. That's going to impact things quite significantly. I think a nice sort of place to be is going to be FSR 3.1.5 with quality. Is there an ultra quality? No, just quality mode here. The settings are still at their absolute lowest. But yeah, even FSR 3 quality is looking, I think, equal to or a little sharper than the TAA option, as well as giving us a little more performance. So you may want to consider using FSR 3 if you have an older rig like this, especially if you're using an older graphics card such as the GTX 980 or older. The great thing is about these cards is that sure, they may not be supported and they may be lacking in VRAM, they may be old, but they can still utilise FSR, which is literally a game changer in situations like this. It can really help to prolong the life of these older GPUs. I don't like the fact that some developers use it instead of optimization. Whoa. Oh, sorry. But I appreciate it in the context that it can be very helpful for these older games. And as someone who really likes their older hardware, it can really help to prolong the life of these once legendary GPUs. Oh, give me a minute. That has sent shivers down my arm. That was... I thought there was someone... I don't want to give too much away. I know this game has been out for a few days. Some of you may have already completed it. But I just wanted to give you my impressions on the performance of this initial opening scene. Okay, we're going to... Oh, this isn't a good idea. Pull back the shower curtain. Luckily there's no one there. Usually you pull back the shower curtain in a horror game, then you turn around and someone's there. But no, that doesn't seem to be this case either. I've actually got some music playing in my ear as well, just to try and lessen the blow of the jump scares that are inevitably going to happen. So, yeah, I'm waiting for something to pop up on screen. Right, let's go. That got me before as well. That scared me before, and I've just been fooled by the same exact cardboard cutout behind that door. Oh, that was absolutely terrifying. Right, so we're looking for a picture on the wall now. Of course, we can't exit yet. We haven't got the key for that. We're looking for a picture on the wall that we saw in a previous scene. I skip through the cutscenes in these videos just for the sake of not spoiling anything as well, or just because it doesn't really help in terms of giving us an idea of performance. Actually, you know what, before we continue, let's switch up the settings a little bit. Now, we know that the absolute lowest settings run quite well here, so let's change things to medium. I've had to come back out to the main menu for this. Let's jump into the settings. We'll change the quality to normal. As you can see from our VRAM usage, yeah, we're pretty much maxing out all of the available 4 gigs here. We'll stick with 1080p, variable frame rate. We won't change anything else. Well, yeah, let's have a quick look at the advanced settings again. Alright, so it's adjusted a couple of things here. The texture filtering quality, the mesh quality, screen space reflections are also on now. I'll turn lens distortion and depth of field off as a personal preference. We'll actually leave FSR 3 on and set to quality because that's probably going to help us out even more so this time around. And yeah, do you know what? This is actually quite a significant drop in performance. And what it is the VRAM limitation here. We have a 980, of course, with just 4 gigs of GDDR5. And despite FSR, it can't really help us out in terms of alleviating those stutters. As you could see by the frame time graph there, it's not a very consistent gameplay experience. Will turning FSR down a bit help? We'll go with balanced. I don't think it's going to help much. Alright, so while the average does look to be improved a bit more, yeah, there are still some sort of spikes in that frame graph here. I think there are going to be a lot of dips and drops as well. Still at least 60 FPS most of the time. I've not done too much in-depth benchmarking here because this is sort of an initial performance impressions video, but you can get away with normal settings, at least in the indoor environments and with FSR set to balanced. But as you can see with the VRAM, we're pretty much pegged at what the card has to offer. Okay, there is that picture on the wall over there. I'm dreading this part. I'm gonna move this and probably get absolutely terrified, but let's see. Oh my goodness, yep, I knew something was going to happen. Alright, so you can see with a bit of action on screen now. Oh, was he trying to shoot me? My god, you, mate, come on now. Yeah, so you can see with a bit of action on screen now with the normal settings, that does cause our frame rate to drop quite a bit, even with FSR. I do not like his face at all. Even with FSR 3 balanced mode, it's just the VRAM mainly. Oh, there's the exit key, good. Yeah, it's the VRAM mainly that's holding us back. We're dropping to 30 now. Alright, so now we're actually at another section in the game. This is another outdoor section where you may see things slow down a little bit more. What we'll do here, again, is turn FSR down to performance for this, just to see... No, ultra performance. Let's go with ultra performance. Alright, yeah, as you can see here, we are struggling to maintain 30 FPS this time around, even with ultra performance and the normal preset. So indoor areas it's fine, but those outdoor areas the game is going to struggle on this hardware. I think the lowest in-game settings is definitely your best bet. So we're in the main menu again. We're just going to go back to lowest. Sure, it's going to be a bit overkill dropping things this low for those indoor close quarters areas, but it's going to mean that you're not going to have to keep switching the settings. You can just set it to low with a card like the 980 and get a decent experience inside and out. I would also recommend retaining FSR 3 quality mode because it does look a little better than TAA or FXAA, at least from my eyeballs. And yeah, as you can see here, it's a much better experience. Not quite 60 FPS, but it feels a lot more consistent to play. We're still sort of encroaching on that VRAM limitation, but there are a lot less spikes within that frame time graph. So yeah, let's just make our way through the busy streets here. This is, of course, with the lowest settings then, FSR 3 set to quality mode yet again. The game still looks pretty good with these visual quality settings. The 980 I think is doing pretty well, all things considered. Almost 60 FPS, even now with everyone freaking out and running away from the zombies down this street. Well, there's another one there. Let's just wipe him out. There we go. At least 40 FPS. Is what we're seeing, let's say, in these outdoor areas most of the time here with FSR 3 quality mode enabled and the lowest in-game settings. So yeah, even... Oh, something's going to happen. Alright, Whoa, even with all that action on screen. Oh, yeah, 40 frames per second plus here. Not bad at all, I don't think, considering the hardware. The i7 has actually just been sitting back and relaxing most of the time. I mean, it's sitting at between 50 and 60% utilization. So it's definitely the graphics card that is the limitation here. You could certainly add a better GPU to this configuration if you wanted to. Probably wouldn't recommend it. It's probably a good pairing, everything considered, but you could certainly get away with something more powerful with an overclocked i7. I think overclocking it as well is key in 2026, just to squeeze every last drop of performance out of it. Don't forget we're also using just 16 gigs of RAM. I say just, but I still think that's the sweet spot, to be honest. This is DDR3, of course, clocked at 1866 megahertz, and it seems to be absolutely fine here, though 32 gigs of DDR3 isn't going to be too expensive in a lot of places, especially when compared, oh, lovely tomahawk throw, especially when compared to the prices of DDR4 and DDR5. So yeah, when using an i7 system, an i7 DDR3 system in 2026, you can still certainly have a decent time in some games, and I think our first example of that proves that point. Residetn Evil Requiem on a machine that's about 12 years old. Let's have one last fiddle with the settings just to see if we can boost this frame rate up to a more constant 60 plus FPS. And no, it's not going to really do anything. You can change FSR3 even with the lowest settings to balance instead of quality, but it doesn't really change much. As you can see though, like I was saying earlier, with those indoor areas, here we are FSR3 balanced and yeah, lowest settings over 100 FPS. So there's going to be quite a bit of variation, but at least in this case, it is going to be playable for a lot of people inside and out. So stick to the lowest settings, enable FSR if you want to. FSR3 would be my recommendation, even with this combination. And you should have a fairly decent time, at least based on my initial experience from the first hour or so of gameplay. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know how this game runs for you on your system, especially if it is slightly older or lower end. And hopefully I'll see you all in the next one.